Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're back. We're not giving up until we get that last achievement. That last one. 20% chance. Once we get an ending. It's actually the second most common ending. So hopefully we can get this. Hopefully, I believe. Let's begin flipping. We got to flip this coin. Come on. Oh. We need to get this so I can actually claim we've done this game. You know what would be the biggest bummer? If they added a Flip the Coin DLC, which added more achievements. Okay, come on. Beautiful. We need... The early game is always the most painful. And wait, different coins? I mean, if they do a DLC, I want it to be a Toonie DLC. If they already have the Looney, right? We need a Toonie. Go full Canadian. That's the real upgrade this game needs. I want it where you can upgrade and you're flipping bills. The bills that you fold into the shape of a coin. Come on. Come on. I believe. Listen, we've done 5 runs of this game. 4 were different endings. We have 1 ending left. If we got the ending we need in the 6th run, that would be incredible. I need to move my face. This is not a good place for me to be for this video game. Let me transform myself and let me flip myself horizontally. There we go. That's where we want to be. Because we want you guys to see the heads chance. We guys want you to see the coin flipping. Okay, we're at 30%. I think this is where the real grind is. We're not quite there. I guess this whole game, the grind is kind of random. You know, if you have good luck, you can skip the parts that are horrible grinds. Okay. So next, do we go for coin worth or do we go for combo? I think we might go for... Ah, screw it. I should have probably gone for combo. I mean, for coin worth. But... yeah, I should have, for sure. Oh, we're almost there. We'll get that upgrade later. It's a good upgrade. The timer one's a good one, but we just want to upgrade, you know, get 5 times income instantly. It's just better. I believe. Your 100th flip. So what's the one that took us the longest? It was like 3,000 flips, and our fastest was like what? I don't know what our fastest was. Beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to go for the speed of the flip. But because we only need 2 to get it. There we go. Yes. There we go. Next, I think we go for... oh, Lord. I don't know which we're doing. Oh, God. Base coin worth is always so tempting to me. But so is probability chance. Beautiful. Okay. Ava, what do you recommend I get first? Increasing the coin from a nickel to a dime or giving an extra 5% chance of hitting heads? What is your vote? You're saying go for the probability. Okay, we did it. We're now over a 1/3 chance, which is something. We're getting too many heads right now. It's making me uncomfortable. Because we know the tides will shift later. We've had a very good stretch of heads. So we shall see. What ending do you think I'm gonna get this time? Okay, Ava. Oh, let's upgrade that. Was that getting a lot of heads? Is that what you said was, That was a very KK thing to say. You know what? You've absorbed much from K. Okay, next we need to go for a multiplier for sure. Absorbed isn't even a euphemism. We're almost there. Come on. Yes. Okay, that was nice. So now we want to get coin worth. Big time. Okay, now we're evening out a bit. We need some of these streaks. Beautiful. Beautiful! Oh, I love those. I love those 4-time combos at this point in the game. Very useful. It's funny, as the game goes on, with the cost of money, like, at this stage in the game, 4-time combos are useful. In late game, it's like, you need 8 or 9-time combos to, like, feel like you're actually earning money. Please. Please. Oh. We want to get that quarter. The quarter is a big one. Not as big as the dollar. But... and not as big as the nickel. Basically, it's the second lowest. But it's still 2.5 times income. Who's going to complain about that? Beautiful. We got it. Now we should be able to get some of these other upgrades faster, hopefully. We're going for a probability next. We need this ending. Here's the thing, that this might be a forever game for us. But we want to put this game to rest. It's weird because it's like, I don't even know if it's a rage game or not. I haven't felt any anger in this game at all. So I don't think it's really a rage game. But it has that element of it where it's just like, you know, like, whatever. Those rage games have that element of like, this might take forever. I don't know how long this is going to take. We're just stuck with it until we get it. But I think part of the thing with this game is it's so out of your hands. That it's hard to be like... like, you don't have any of that, like, oh, man, I really messed up. It's like, well, that's just the universe this time. Unless you're a speedrunner, and then you're like, oh, I analyzed the seed wrong based on his sips. Come on. We're so close. Oh, one more. One more and we got it. Beautiful. I'm curious where the luck of the flip happens. It probably happens at the very beginning, right? So I should probably get a bit more patient when we're about to be able to afford an upgrade. We're at 40% though. We're now basically in the meat of the game. Where upgrades... Well, especially once we get these two. Where upgrades become really distant. Beautiful. Let's get it. Okay, we'll get flip time next, and then, I don't know... Oh, God, I feel like we have to go for the dollar. Just because I feel like 4 times value is too good to pass up. I feel like getting coin before probability will lead us to getting all upgrades sooner. So far, this episode has been the most just straight up talking about probability, not going off the rails yet. Which is interesting, considering how off the rails we went earlier in the stream. Maybe we burned out that aspect of us, and now we're just chilling. We're just living our lives, looking at math. Hey, how do you guys feel about math? You guys like math? You know what's interesting? Is that I found early in life, like, I never hated math. I was always like, math is all right, you know? In school. Math is fine. Oh, that was a good run. But, you know, it was kind of like, oh, this is the class where I memorize stuff and then learn how to use it and then use it. But, man, nowadays, you start getting me onto some math YouTube and I am fascinated. You like biology and listen, I like culinary too. Not but I like being the judge of culinary, not the judged. I don't love cooking, I love eating. But I don't think you guys would have ever guessed that based on looking at my appearance, huh? You know, you might not realize that on average I'm walking, like, at work 15 to 30,000 steps a day. And you can't tell because the amount of stuff I put in my body... Okay, phrasing. The amount of stuff that I consume just counteracts being in the top 2% of walkers in the world. I'm like on a bodybuilding diet with none of the bodybuilding work ethic. This is the stream where I roast myself. Okay. But how can you not... Come on. Like, once you start getting into, like, really trippy math videos... Oh, God. Some of the, like, out there, like, theoretical math stuff is really fascinating. Or, like, visualizations of things. It goes over my head, too. Okay, halfway to coin upgrade. You know what, though? There is a way to cheat this game. So, I saw online that what you can do is get to flip 9, copy your save away, and then flip 10, and then just copy your save back in the save folder over and over to guarantee that you get every ending. We're not going to do that. And if I do it eventually, because this series goes on way too long, you are welcome to call me a coward in every video from now on. But I want to commit to doing this legit. I feel like that defeats the point of the game. Because I feel like fundamentally the point of this game is screw probability. And the universe doesn't care about you. Listen, we're already veering back into existential dread. There's something about when you really get into flipping a coin this long, it just always drags us back. It's always gazing into the abyss gazes into you, you know? Okay, we're getting there. Yes. 4/5. We need this dollar. I hate being stuck at 40% chance though. Cilantro, hello. Yeah, we're back at flipping this coin. The you know, the most fascinating content. Here's the deal. Quick explanation. We have all the achievements except one. So we're doing this until we get egg bugged. We're trying to get to the final ending, which we only have a 20% chance of landing on. So basically we need to go through the process of getting to the end of this game, and then we have a 1 in 5 chance. If we hit the win condition, we have a 1 in 5 chance of getting the achievement. So basically what that means is that this playthrough of this game, every video from now on, is what we call a shit show. Oh, upgrade base coin cost. Yes, we're flipping that loony. Only we had a toonie available. But this is great because now we're actually earning the big bucks. $19. You were forced to do military and medical service class because no one wanted to do home ed. You're talking about like in like middle high school, stuff like that. I've never seen that. I'm sure that there's military schools that would have that. But I've never seen that. Like for us, okay. So when I was in like when I was in elementary school, I think you just had class. You just had one teacher, you had class, and they would kind of teach you a little bit of everything. I think in middle school, we had English, French, math, science. Was it social studies? It was like geography and civics. We had, did I say history? We had history. We had computers was a class. We had music and art. Was that it? That was like middle school. Oh, gym. Wow, I wonder why that's the one I forgot. I think that might be it for middle school. And then high school, here, it starts off where you have you have mostly mandatory classes in grade 9. And then by grade 12, you have very few mandatory classes. So I think so in grade like 9, mandatory classes are going to be like English, math, science, gym, French. Is there any other mandatory class? I don't know if in grade 9 what else was mandatory. But then you have start having you have 1 year where you had to make it a choice of electives. So you had to take either you had to take you probably had to take history or something in grade 9. You had to take either civics or you had to take business. You had one or the other. So I took civics, which is why I am the worst with money ever. But why I'm privately heavily invested in politics, but keep it off stream. And then you start getting electives where like gym falls off and becomes an elective. French falls off and becomes an elective. And then a lot of things expand out where they become more specific. So like oh, well, you also have like music and art, but then things expand out where like history starts becoming like American history, history of the Western world, like it, whatever, like ancient, like classical history. Math breaks off into like data management, algebra, geometry, calculus. Science breaks off into physics, chemistry, biology. So a lot of things kind of expand. I think the only thing that I remember that's mandatory through grade 12 is English. I think English was mandatory in grade 12, but I think everything else was elective. Grade 9 had a requirement. You had to take either, I think, home ec or tech, maybe? There was some... So I took tech. Which, honestly, I should have taken home ec, to be totally honest. Because I would use those things more in my life. Like, I never use a lathe in real life. Did I ever tell you about the time I almost got pulled into a lathe and turned into a noodle? It's true. Probably my dumbest moment in this world. I almost accidentally ended my existence in a lathe. And then a couple years later, my friend cut off her finger in tech class. True story. And I didn't believe her when she told me. She told me so casually. She told me as an afterthought at the end of the conversation, like, oh yeah, last week I cut off my finger. And I didn't believe her. Because she was just like so medicated out that she didn't remember. And it was like MSN Messenger, so I didn't, so I was like, listen, if you did, I'm so sorry. Oh. Oh. Can we get a win already? Can we get... Oh, we got an ending, but it wasn't the ending. No! That's our fastest win yet, though. Dang it! That was our fastest win by far. Oh, it wasn't the ending, though. Okay, we gotta exit to restart it. All we had to do was talk about cutting off fingers. Dang it. That one was so much faster. Dang it. That was such a good run. Did we win at 45%? It might have been 50% because of the upgrades we got. That was a very good run. That was, I think, our fastest by several minutes. I'm sure there's probably some books written, some novels written with that theme. You know what's funny? I know someone. I'm not going to give any hints at who it is. But I know someone who read a romance novel. Like, when I say romance novel, I'm talking about one of those, like, for women romance novels that are super smutty. And it was about, like, a horse. Or it was, like, a horse guy or something. The guy was a horse. I don't know if it was a centaur or something. It was, like, a... But the thing that's funny is, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Big Mouth. But Big Mouth, which is, like, a super edgy, like... overly sexual show, one of the storyline jokes is that this one girl who's like, you know, experiencing desire for the first time is reading a novel about like a horse guy. And I'm like, I know someone. I was like, I assume this show was doing super absurd parody, but I'm like, no, I literally know someone that read this book basically exactly. True story. And I was told about it with zero irony and like, oh, it was an amazing book. A very, very good book. I read it on a flight. I was like, oh, the more you know. Yeah. True story. You guys remember? You remember when 50 Shades came out? And it was such a funny thing because it was like, it was so big, but it was also like, there was still shame. So you would like, you'd go on the subway and see like a girl, you know, reading it, and she'd be reading it out in the open. Then you talk to her, and then she would hide the book. So it was a thing where you'd see it everywhere, but people still know. They're like, oh, I'm going to be judged if I see this. I've never watched those movies. I actually know very little about them, except that they started off as Twilight fan fiction, and then had to get readapted to avoid any copyright. You can only have respect. Listen, I have no judgment. It's also like 50 Shades in particular, like who cares? Especially because it was such a cultural phenomenon that like I don't feel like reading 50 Shades at that time was a sign that you're like, oh my god, I'm super attracted to these like relationship dynamics and like this like whole vibe, like, oh, I find it so attractive. I think it was just a thing where it's like, oh, everyone's reading this, I want to know, I want to be a part of it. Like I don't think there's anything weird about it. But I also get it. I also get why you wouldn't want to like advertise it if it's like whatever. If your coworker, if you're taking a break and your boss walks in, you might want to hide 50 Shades. So your boss isn't like, what are you doing? You're a nanny. Like, I get it, okay? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, when you say kind of tame, it's all relative, right? Tame relative to what? Well, yeah, but so is Pornhub. Pornhub is also tame relative to your standards. Dang it! I'm gonna have to add a different. Okay, when you upload YouTube videos, YouTube has a system where you might notice that I'm a little bit milder with my language now. So when you submit your videos on YouTube now, once you're a partner, they have to say, okay, if you want to make money on this, you have to tell us how bad the content is in your video. And if you lie, you're going to be punished. So please accurately tell us how mature the content is in your video. And they have all these different categories, right? So it starts off like, okay, language. And it's like, there's basically 4 levels. Level 1 is there's nothing in my video. Level 2 is like, oh, there's some swearing. I might say ass sometimes, right? Or I might like say censored swear words like god darn or something, or like frick. And, you know, you can have that, and YouTube is like, I don't care. And then level 2 is kind of like, you're saying some harsh swear words, and maybe you have swear words in your title. And then number 3 is like, you're popping off slurs, which I'm like, who's submitting for ad revenue and is like, yeah, I'm just, listen, I'm going to be honest. But, you know, the farther you go down, your ad availability gets more limited, and I'm sure it tailors to which kind of advertisers there are, right? But there's also a bunch of different categories. So there's going to be like languages first, and then there's going to be like nudity, and then there's going to be like upsetting, like whatever, current upsetting events or something. There's going to be like violence and gore. There's going to be whatever, sensitive topics or whatever, like if you get crazy into mental health or something. So now I'm generally cautious where I try to find alternative swear words when I can, but I also have to like flag in my mind like when this is the 50 Shades episode, I need to be like, oh right, I need to tell YouTube that there's some other stuff in this video. And that's why every time a video starts and I'm like, hello fellow people. How's it? Howdy. We're a great channel. And then KK pops into chat. And she's like, man, you won't believe the dicks that are in my life right now. I'm like, KK, advertisers. I don't care that much. I'm making... The most I've made from a video thus far, it was like $3.50, okay? I'm not that invested. I'm just trying to get used to the patterns, you know? Okay. Next, we got to get that coin upgrade again. You know what? There was a freedom, though. There was a freedom of being non-monetized. And just being like, listen, Wild West. But here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that I need to keep in perspective. I see my channel, right? And I'm like, oh, maybe I should be a bit more cautious. And then I watch, like, Fan or whatever. Like, so many stream... I watch OTV now. Like, OTV I always think of as, like, the people that are super clean about their image, right? You watch these channels, I'm like, these guys are edgier than me on stream. Why am I holding back so much? I don't need to hold back that much. Like, you watch, like, a Quarter Jade stream, and she's like... I like, in my brain, I'm like, these are the most wholesome channels. And I'm like, oh, wait, they're going way farther than I am. So... I think maybe I'm a little bit too cautious right now. I think maybe we should go a little, slightly more Wild West than we have been lately. But here's the thing. Usually my edginess is in direct... This is a true fact, okay? Are you ready? Usually my edginess in my humor is directly correlated to my mental health at the moment. The more depressed I just become so much edgier because I'm like, I don't care what anyone thinks about me right now. Like, I'm going to test everyone, and I'm like, I go full BPD. Like, I'm going to burn every bridge with my jokes right now. And then when I'm, like, feeling pretty good, I'm like, actually, why would I ever want to say things that make people uncomfortable? We should all just get along in this world. It's like a 90% mental health correlation, I'm telling you. So next time you see me say something that pisses you off, you should say, are you okay, Curly? I'm worried. No, don't. Please don't. That would drive me crazy. What I'm saying is the next time you see a horrible person, maybe ask how they're doing. Wait. Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. 1000% Ava. That's why, like, on stream, I generally probably come across as, like, pretty affable and, like comfortable. The reality is, in the real world, like, in the business world, I am way more introverted than I seem. Like, that was one of my big downfalls as a musician, was that I wasn't a schmoozer. I wasn't a self-promoter. I was a quiet person that got the job done. I was reliable, but I wasn't, like, out there, like, selling myself, right? And a big thing is I benefit from... I want to learn people's boundaries before I, you know, engage in humor at all, right? I don't know where people... Because boundaries are, like, span so far, right? Whereas on my stream, I'm like, listen, if I make a joke, if you don't like it, then just don't watch. You can leave. You don't have to watch my channel. My channel, I know, is not for most people. I know it's not for everyone. So if it's for you, then awesome. We can hang out, play games, talk about games, make jokes. But if it's not for you, that's also all right. Oh god, I can't remember what the thing that was, because you, Ava, you were like in the community for literally like 3 years or something. Like you were around, and then some sort of, I don't remember what topic it was. I probably shouldn't even say it on stream, but something came up and you're like, oh my god, these are actually my people. And you instantly were like, okay, now I'm actually super invested in talking and open. Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't need to hold back on these boundaries ever. So yeah, there was some moment where it's like you went from the quiet person that would occasionally pop in and say something to like, actually we're ride or die now, and we're going all in. And it was like 3 years into you following. And I'm sure it involved KK. Oh yeah, K. Oh god. Yeah, I know that she was like the catalyst. All right. Okay, we need some more upgrades. Let's do this. We need that multiplier. It always feels good once you have the loony. That's really where it starts feeling real nice. $500th flip. All right. We got it at like 800 and something last time, but that was our best run yet. Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I've kind of learned is that sometimes I feel like sometimes people on the internet, like people that are heavily invested in the internet, are not always super indicative of people in the real world. And so I find that sometimes communities can be like very, on the internet more than the real world, can be very tribalistic, can be very like align with us, or will like or will like turn on you or whatever. Like I find that, and I'm not even talking like, I mean obviously politics, but it is weird where there's like, I don't know. I find that sometimes in internet space, it can be weird finding your people or like, because like a big thing for me that was weird, that was hard with Twitch to try to figure out, is I wanted to develop a community of people that shared my values, right? Of people that were like not hateful, that were basically live and let live, you know what I mean? Like let people live their lives, be who they are without judgment, but also wouldn't like, if there was some sort of ideological difference, wouldn't be like, I'm turning on you and blasting you or whatever. And it is weird because I find that it's weirdly hard to find people that are online that are just like, you can be who you are and the world's not going to end. Like, let's just chill. And like, I don't need to agree with you about everything, but as long as you're not like, you know, exploring some super hateful lines of thought or something. I just want to flip a coin and joke about cum. Is that so wrong? So yeah, like, because I have found, like, there have been times where it's like there's people I feel like I align with 99%. And then there will be like one small thing, and all of a sudden it's like the dam breaks, and it's like, guys, we need to be okay with the fact that as long as we're not like being genuinely hateful or whatever, like, let's give us some room to have different thoughts. It's okay. It'll be okay. And I also think because of just the way that internet era is right now, you're more worried. It's more that you've been in a lot of PG communities and you've always worried about saying anything remotely adult. Well, that's also what I mean, though. Like I'm not talking about politics. Like, politics is obviously connected, but saying anything that's like edgy in that way is a joke or whatever, or like it's one thing if someone is like, that makes me uncomfortable, like, don't talk to, like, or if it's like directed or like, I don't mean like crossing boundaries. But I think that there is a lot of like consciously misinterpreting what people mean or their intentions or perceiving things uncharitably, where it's like no one was ever saying this. Like, you're writing whatever, you know. You're ascribing like ideas that don't exist. Things like that. And I just failed at drinking. I just dripped down my beard. Okay, let's do this. It's been a while since we've gotten an upgrade. Come on. We need a second chance. Okay. We've done, what, 7 passes of this game. The other problem, though, here's the other problem about the internet. Because I'm exploring these ideas vaguely, right? Like, I'm trying to be genuine. I'm exploring them vaguely. Well, the problem with discussing things in vague terms is then people, because there is a lot of uncharitability online, I think a lot of people will make assumptions as to what that means. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, as vague as my statements have been, people will then project, like, oh, beautiful. Like, what I could even be, what kind of things I could be referring to or whatever, right? Oh. Bam. Okay. All right, we got to do this. I really want that ending. I want to be able to to uninstall this with but my poor obsessive compulsive nature. But yeah, no, with kind of jokes of that nature, or truths of that nature, even more, yeah, you definitely have to test out the boundaries, I think, for sure. Or suss out the boundaries. You know what? Like, in general, okay, this is probably bad advice, because clearly I've out-edged people before with jokes. Clearly I've told a couple divisive jokes in my community that people didn't love. But as a rule of thumb, what my rule of thumb is you can up the ante one time, but if people like, so let's say okay, I say a joke and it's a 1, and then another person ups the ante and does a 2, then I can do a 3, and then if they do a 4, then I can do a 5, and then if you feel hesitation on the 5, if they're like, okay, this is where we're going, you don't push past the 5. There's no way in which you push past the 5. Unless it's your stream, and then you can do whatever the hell you want because people can leave. But, like, in general, I'd say, like, you sense it based on how much people are yes-anding you, and then the moment they start yes-anding and they start being the like, you know, the breaks, then you, and that's why I think straight men work in comedy so much. Like, here's a really good example of a streamer who's very, very, very edgy. Is FanFan, right? And the thing that you look with FanFan's content, where she generally does well, you'll have people like Cinna or whatever, right? And Cinna tends to be a straight man. And so the thing is, a straight man can be really good because the straight man is useful for you being irreverent relative to the straight man, but the straight man is the brakes that keeps you grounded. Now, the problem is if you have two fans, all of a sudden, you speed down a cliff, right? If your boundaries, if neither of you seem to have comedy boundaries, and you don't have someone to tether you with the brakes, all of a sudden, you know, all of a sudden, the boundary is going to be the terms of service, right? Like, so, I do think, like, it's interesting, like, you know, when I used to stream with Simon, right? And one of the things that I loved about streaming with Simon was very good to bounce off of as a tether, right? That you could play off of their boundary, and it gave you like a solid limit of where to. So like, I thought that they were excellent to stream with. Now, then it's funny when I stream with someone like Moggy. All of a sudden, I say, listen, I need to be the tether, because if I am not the tether, then we are racing off this cliff. So sometimes I'll need to modulate my role in the comedy duo for saying. Sometimes I'll need to be the straight man to reel in it so that we don't go racing down a cliff. The other thing, though, is that, man, one of my favorite things in streaming, one of the best reactions for me with comedy is 50% love it and 50% are mortified. That's why, listen, that's why the Paw Patrol joke will always live in my heart, because I had 50% dying of laughter and 50% that were like, bro, bro, chill. But see, the problem is that THG really tries to be the tether, but you keep going. I mean, here's the thing. It really depends on your relation. Like, I think with THG, you're probably safe. It's different if it's like this person's getting actually really uncomfortable, right? And with long-term friends like THG, like, you're going to be able to read that better. But yeah, so like with stream, like I remember I used to have the ICA, the infinite cum argument. And we were playing that one game on stream and we were exploring this conversation, and it was funny because you would have some people that were like, this is hilarious. And then you would have some people giving you the hard ... like, bro, what? And that reaction, the reaction of 50% of the people being like, dude, and then the other half being like, this is hilarious. It's fuel. The ... become fuel. Like, it makes you more, it's like, the fact that this is so divisive means that I know I'm on the right track. Here's the problem, though. With you and the ICA, you're like, you're not just like, I love the comedy of this. You're like, I love the fantasy of this. And that is the problem. Oh, gosh. By the way, I think that game, at the time, it was allowed on Twitch. I'm pretty sure it's a banned game now. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's banned. The game I streamed, it was called Wanking Simulator. Okay, I know it's self-explanatorily. It sounds like it's... I mean, listen, the VOD is on YouTube. There was no nudity. Like, it wasn't... There was definitely questionable material. But it wasn't like... It was more the topic. But that's where the ICA originated. It was just like a shit sandbox game. But that was the stream where... Okay, listen. Right now we're digging up a relic of the past. The context... This game is trying to end to not get me not to tell the story. The context is, I was playing this game called Wanking Simulator, which was a horrible game. And then someone named Aloesque in chat noticed something on the UI that I didn't notice. There was a button that you could toggle that said infinite cum. And so Aloesque goes... You're only secondhand. Aloesque goes, did that say infinite cum? And all of a sudden, I started riffing on it. Because I said, but if you think about it, infinite cum would actually be amazing. Because it would end world hunger. And immediately after I said that, half the chat, probably 3/4 of the chat is firm ... And I'm like, I just see the mortifying reaction of me connecting the infinite cum idea to the curing world hunger. And the resistance to that idea was fuel for me. I was like, oh, we need to explore this. And so we wound up just like, I just wound up riffing on it more and more and more. Just being like, well, the upside of it is that you know, cure world hunger. The downside of it is that, well, if it's an infinite amount, then does it have infinite mass? Did you effectively create a super infinitely dense black hole of cum that sucks the universe into it and ends everything? It might be too big of a risk to take. Like, we wound up exploring the pros and cons of like, maybe it's an existential. And then it was like, well, maybe you can hold it in like a bag of holding like D&D, which removes the effect of the mass. It would be like a scrote of holding. You know, and it just turned into a big thing. So that was the ICA. This video is... I shouldn't even monetize this at this point. I think we're fine. It was all comedy conversation. We're not actually exploring real things. Don't worry, there's no infinite mass of it, okay? Dang it. We need to win. Oh, that was good. Yeah, we've left that one sitting. That was kind of my big edgy stream moment, and it turned into a running joke for a while. The ICA. So anytime you hear me mention the ICA, that is a euphemism for that topic. So I'll tell you the games. I think there were 3 games, but 2 games in particular. 2 games had the ICA really explored. The first one was Wanking Simulator. The second one was is called Naissance. Or Nascence, I don't know. Those 2 games were where most of the ICA jokes came from. And if you watch my channel trailer, there's some jokes in my channel trailer that were from that Nascence. What was it? If you can't love me at my cummiest, do you really love me at all? Was one. God. Oh my lord. Oh, those days. Is that the edgiest stream moment, do you think? I like how I put it in my trailer. And then the worst, oh my god. Oh my god. So I don't let my I think joking about it for half an hour is yes. Well, okay. We need to be careful when I use the word edgy, because edgy means a lot of things. Okay? I need to specify. Should I give my warning? When I'm talking about doing edgy jokes, okay? I'm not out here saying slurs, okay? I think I need to clarify, because I think when some people hear like edgelord, that's what they think. Okay? I'm just preempting this. I'm not into that, okay? So that's not what I'm talking about. Well, I don't think so. I think edgy is just... I think when people say edgy, it generally means you're approaching a line of like boundaries. And so I think edgy can mean... I think edgy can mean dark. I think it can mean like... I think people would include like racist humor as edgy too. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. I mean, when you talk about an edgelord, you're normally talking about someone that's like, okay, great, you're walking around in your trench coat. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm using the word wrong. I just think of it as like getting close to the line. I mean, and the other thing is, it's like, the reality is the line changes over time. There's stuff that I watched on YouTube in like 2012 or whatever, and now if I see it, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe, like, this was so far over the line of acceptability now. And back then it was like, this is just kind of usual stuff. I mean, let's be real. Okay. There's a word. And listen, even me saying there was a word, I bet you that 3 different words have jumped into your head now. A word that was used a lot. Okay? Well, let's just say this word, you probably don't know what I mean. Because I feel like if... There was a word that was used a lot. Everywhere. And that word, people now on TikTok say grape. Okay? That was a word that people would say constantly in gaming, like PewDiePie videos, like the biggest YouTube channel, right? You'd be like, oh, so-and-so blank me, right? This was the average YouTube gaming content was saying that. And now you could not say that, right? So the line is definitely shifted from even like the median content. Like the median content targeted at like 13-year-olds, that was the language that was used in 2012. Right? So it is so funny how quickly we kind of adapt to where it's like, even as a person that me at the time watching that content and literally not thinking anything of it, I wouldn't have been like, man, that's so bad that they say it. Like, I would have thought literally nothing. I would have been totally fine with it. And now if I hear it, I have like an internal flinch, like, oh, you can't say that. Like, it's funny that you actually just like adjust to the cultural norms of like, oh, I don't know about this anymore. So that's one of the things that is always worrisome about riding the line with like language and jokes, is it's like it's gonna shift. So like there's a word that right now is borderline, like it is in the process of fading out of cultural acceptability, right? It's another word that starts with R, okay? And internally, I don't have any feelings about it. Like, I'm not offended by it, but I'm like, listen, even though right now this word is kind of like 50-50 societally, yeah, you know what I mean. Everyone knows what I mean. It's the R word. Even though I don't have an internal feeling where I'm like, oh, that one's so bad. Like, I feel like we say lots of words that are similar deep down. I'm just like, listen, societally, this word is going to be gone in 5 years. Everyone knows it. So like, why would I possibly say it on YouTube? Like, it's just going to age out and be a bad look eventually, because this word is on the trajectory of being gone. Everyone knows it. This is my cancel me video. Like, my point isn't my point. You know what? Maybe I don't have a point. Maybe I don't have a point. Like, if I hear someone say it, I don't cringe or go like, or be like, you shouldn't say that. Like, I don't. I actually don't feel anything when people say it. For me, it sounds natural to me in conversation, but I'm also just like, well, I'm not gonna put it out there. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a decision of, whereas like other words that were said a lot, like anything now that we consider a slur now, if I hear, I'm just like, oh, don't say that. I have like a visceral feeling in my heart of like, you can't, dude, what are you doing? Stop. Like, I know you're joking, but dude, chill. Chill, dude. Chill. For the love of God, chill. Like, even though a lot of those things in 2009 or whatever, like, I remember playing, God, what year would it have been? I don't know. It was Xbox Live Arcade. I was playing Doom 1 or Doom 2 multiplayer deathmatch, and I didn't have a microphone, but someone else did, and I was spawn camping this guy, and I was playing. Well, I wasn't spawn camping him. I was camping the best weapon on the map. So I would never let him get the plasma rifle, and I would just keep shredding him with the plasma rifle, and I would keep getting the ammo respawns. And my mom is sitting behind me, and this guy is going full-on tantrum, yelling the F slur at me, like, wishing me death, just, like, freaking out. And I just remember my mom being, like, mortified, and maybe just being like, this is what gaming on the internet is. That's why anytime there's, like, you know, anytime they're like, did you hear what this streamer said? And I'm like, oh God, what did they say? Like, what horrible thing did they say? And then they're like, in 2013. And I'm like, okay, never mind. I don't care. I don't care. It's fine. Things have changed, okay? Let's chill out for The bad thing the Xbox Call of Duty streamer said in 2013. Did they say it? Did they say it again this year? Oh, whatever. What's this VOD called? Edgy boy flips a coin? Well, yeah, I mean, it depends. But, like... Well, I don't know. Does it? Like, you remember when there was that video of Justin Bieber. And he was, like, 14 or something. I don't remember. 13, 14. He was pretty young. And he was dropping some pretty bad words, okay? Some pretty worst words. But he was like 13. And I was like, are you guys really going to be outraged about a 13-year-old saying, like, teenagers? Like, the whole thing about being a teenager is rebelling and doing what you're not supposed to. And then getting older and then understanding why you're not supposed to do that. And being like, oh, shit, actually, there's a reason for this, right? So... like, for me, it's like such a who cares depending on where they are in their life. Yeah, I would, like, there's so many moments in my life that I'm like so happy we're not broadcast to the internet, because it's like, hopefully we look back on ourselves 10 years ago and think, oh, I'm a better person now than I was then, right? Hopefully. That's why I really worry. I worry about Gen Alpha and the Zoomers. That's who I worry about. I worry because with me, I got to grow up in a, like, oh, the internet is just starting, but it's not like a core part of your life. And then got to mature as this became a core part of your life, right? Like, YouTube only became a thing for me when I was in, like, grade 11, 12, right? Before that was, like, Newgrounds, right? Like, Facebook became a thing when I was in, like, grade 12, right? Before I had MySpace, I don't know, in, like, grade 11 or 10 or something, I don't know. So this idea of having a digital footprint as, like, that's going to be carried with you for the rest of your life, like some stupid nonsense you said when you're 12, like, that's not going to be something that haunts me. But I'm like, man, when you have, like... I know there were stories about, like, 18-year-olds getting people fired for things that their ex-friends said when they were 15 or whatever. It's like, yeah, they shouldn't say that, but they're also at the age where people are going to be, like, say things that later on in life we judge you for, right? Like... Those are the ages where you, like, kind of learn, and even later, like, even going through your 20s, those are the ages where you kind of learn boundaries, right? Where it's like not only with, like, what you say, but also, like, you know, in relationships or whatever. Like, those are the ages where you're like, how do I not be like a freaking creeper? You know what I mean? I mean, okay, for clarity, there's going to be a threshold of creeperness that if you go past, you're going to be judged at any age, okay? I should clarify. But I do think that, like, a big, like, probably almost unanimous story is going to be a certain level of awkwardness in those realms at those ages. You want to hear a story? Here's a story from when I was in high school. Okay? This is to give you an idea of how messed up the stuff is at that age. I was dating a girl. she called me and told me that she basically had like, you know, a doctor's a physical, right? A full physical, a very whatever, like, and basically said it was very invasive and very traumatic. And I'm like, okay, you know, and she's like, and it and this was very, very traumatic. So I don't feel comfortable engaging in anything sexual for a while. Like, you know, it will take me time. And I was like, it's okay. I understand. Like, listen, I just like spending time with you. And that's all that matters. And we never even need to do anything. It's okay. Like that. Okay. It's okay. And then she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, listen, I want you to be comfortable. You know, like I was full on, I want you to be comfortable. And she goes like, and she broke up with me like almost immediately after. She was upset because she didn't feel desired because they didn't pressure her against her boundaries. That is some teenager brain shit. Tails. Like, that is stuff that is like, don't learn any lesson from that one. Like, as a man, yeah, that's a thing where you're like, to me, I'm like, that is one of the most toxic lessons you could teach a guy if he took the wrong lesson from. Like, to actually have someone like, oh, you're not being a pest. You're not trying to pressure me. You're whatever. Like, that, to me, that is, like, that's, and at the time, like, you know, at the time, I, like, cried, like, I can't believe she broke up with me, blah, blah, blah. Right? As an adult, I look back on that, and I'm like, oh my God. Dodged a bullet. That was crazy. You just look back on some of these, you know. Yeah, there's some, so it's like, listen, like, people of that age are trying to figure shit out. Right? You can't expect them to be perfect in their behavior. And the fact that we immortalize all of these awkward and horrible and embarrassing moments now on the internet is like, oh, this is not going to be good for their futures. This is going to be rough. Come on, flip. Come on. We were so close. We were so close. We need to get this ending. I think this is officially by far the worst coin flip video I've done. This coin flip video is so bad that it's almost, should I delete the VOD, the video of it? It's like, this is just the most off the rails one. Like, my decision making, I'm acting like a teenager. There was once this girl super close to me. She got insanely pissed at you for getting a higher grade than her and complete. Yeah. You know what? Here's another one. I was in grade 2. Okay? This is stuff that you know what? I should post some of these as like little talkie videos onto YouTube. I was in grade 2. In grade 2, we had a class where if you did really well on something, you would get your name added into a raffle. And with the raffle, there would be a box of stuff that you could draw from, right? So it would be like action figures, juice boxes, suckers, candy, you know, and basically the best stuff at the beginning of the year is in the box. And by the end of the year, all the good stuff is taken. And all of a sudden, you're just stuck with like suckers and a juice box. So I was a teacher's pet honor student. Like, you know, one year I won the award top boy and got my, like, I've gotten my name engraved in multiple schools. Okay. Now, I just want you to know that I was a slacker. Okay. I should not have gotten it, but all I'm saying is I'm a genius. I am brilliant, man. You have no clue how smart I am. I'm just kidding. But anyways, I was a little suck-up teacher's pet, and I would win these draws constantly. So anyways, this one day, you know, just another day for old Curly. Everything's going well. And I win that draw, and I get my thing, whatever it was, a little toy. I had a little slingshot. Who knows what it was. Anyways, go through the day at school, pack up, and we open up my locker. and there's a drawing of... There was a wolf, I think, and there was a bloody dagger decapitating a rabbit. And it said something like, I'm going to kill you. So I'm in grade 2, and I get... And this is, like, immaculately drawn. Like, this is the most beautiful drawing of someone decapitating a rabbit and threatening to kill me. So I immediately go to the teacher, and I'm like, Mrs. Whatever, I got this. And she goes, oh, that's this kid, obviously, because he's the only freaking kid in our class that knows how to draw. It turns out it was my best friend. So my best friend threatened to kill me because I won the draw, and I took the this item he wanted from the box. So he drew a very... he drew the most immaculately detailed drawing of a wolf and decapitating a rabbit as a threat because I got his juice box or whatever he wanted. Yeah, listen. Oh, God. I forgot about that story. Come on, I believe. Now I'm just thinking about like childhood stories that I'm like, oh man, I should make videos telling some of these stories. How much of a playa I was in grade 1, but then deep down was a big old simp. You know? Oh God. And I also have some stories that are like, I have stories that I'm like, I would tell, but I can't as long as people are alive. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this is some weird shit, but people are alive, so I don't want to put that out into the world. Oh gosh. Oh, we're so close. The other thing that's so funny, I shouldn't say funny. I mean, this is about to get into like psychiatry shit. One of the things that's so weird about being a kid is like, as a kid, you have no point of reference for like what's normal and what's not. Like everything's just normal, right? Because it's like the first time you've experienced everything in the world. So you don't question anything, right? And then you're like 30, and then you were like remember something from when you were a kid, and you're like, wait, that's really weird. Like, that's not okay. Wait, what? This was a... Wait, this was a big part of my life and I forgot about it, and then 20 years later, I'm like, huh. Oh, God. Which brings us back to Roblox. I'm just kidding. I mean, I've told the Furcadia story. Oh, God, that's a story. Oh, my God. That is a story. Man, I need to make a list of these, like, crazy stories and make YouTube videos of them. The only problem, though, is that if I tell I'm so curious. If I tell some of these stories of life, like my weird experiences when I was a kid, I'm wondering if the fact that I was a kid in the stories will make, like, it uncomfortable or, like, make it weird TOS-y or whatever. But I'm like, listen, I'm an adult now. I can tell this. I'm consenting to telling a story about weird shit that happened in childhood. I'm making the sound way more, listen, nothing really bad happened to me, guys. I just want to let me preface. If your imagination is running wild, I had a pretty good life. Okay, everything's fine. I realize sometimes being vague, I realize just makes people put the worst images in their head. Okay, we're halfway to getting the final probability upgrade. We know when we're at 55%, it's not going so hot. We know when we're at 60%, it's going really not hot. Remember how I said the edgier I am, the more my mental health is probably not great? Uh-oh, maybe you guys should check in on me right now. I'm just kidding. Okay, while we're flipping this, edgy definition. Oh my god, I typoed that. Experimental. At the forefront of a trend, experimental or avant-garde. Okay, maybe we Urban Dictionary this. Okay, let me make this bigger. Like experimental makes sense in a certain light. Urban Dictionary. Let's see what it says. Something trying too hard to be cool, almost to the point of being cringeworthy. Okay. Simple-mindedly and transparently trying to appear tough or cool for the sake of being provocative and or offensive. Yeah, I think it has to do with offensiveness. I don't think it has to do with... Like, I do think that we often associate it with, like, edgelord with the, like, super dark and, like kind of violently whatever. But I do just think it's fundamentally about being offensive. The act of being edgy... that's not even a description. Okay, those examples are all edgy characters. Challenging societal norms. That makes sense to me. Okay, these are getting into, which implies anyone online behaving or saying things that are against the mainstream, usually angering certain populace. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think so. I think it's I think fundamentally it is just kind of about pushing at or past the line. Approaching or crossing the line, I think. But you know what? I think life around the line. I think life just before the... Listen, that's what stand-up comedy largely... Like, actual stand-up comics... Well, I guess there's different types. For sure. But the stand-up comics I like... You know... One of my favorite stand-up comics of all times, Louis C.K. Okay? On and off stage is very edgy. But the thing that's interesting about it is, like, his comedy has become edgier over time because of that line, right? Some of his bits that, like, they were edgy when it came out, but now it's like he actually refuses to do certain things because of the where the Overton window is shifted and stuff. Oh, dang it, so close. Okay, Ava, do you watch any stand-up comedy? I feel like stand-up comedy... Maybe this isn't true. I feel like it's going through a little bit of a... I don't know. Maybe not the best phase. I'm not sure. Maybe that's not fair. You know, that's probably not fair. I think maybe just some people have gotten really big that... Here's the thing. There's lots of different types of things that people find funny. Right? Like, I know that there was that, like, psychologist who was like, the things that basically make you laugh are, like, 1, surprise, 2, brushing against, like, societal norms, or, like, you can't say that kind of thing. 1 is, like, looking down on people, right? Like, those people on that side of the political spectrum are idiots, or whatever. I feel like a lot of comedy now has gone very politics, very those people are dumb. Or those people are crazy, and I'm not generally, there are exceptions to the, like, there are exceptions to the condescending comedy that I find funny, but broadly speaking, it's not really my thing. And I feel like I feel like the more tribal and divisive we've become, the more people have gone into that, like, lol, these people, huh? Aren't these people the worst? Like, I feel like a lot of stand-up comedies that's really big right now is in that place. And it's, and I think the other problem with stand-up comedy being in that place of, like, aren't these people the worst? Is that it also bridges with politics, where people often go for, like, claps, or they're not going for an actual punchline all the time. They're sometimes going for people to be like, yes, I agree with you. Whereas, like, a lot of comedy I found really funny. Like, I think the biggest example for me that I can think of is, like, Patrice O'Neal. Okay? Patrice O'Neal said stuff that I actually think he believed. Like, I feel like, genuinely, I heard Patrice O'Neal did a little bit of, like, a relationship show on the radio. And it was, like, extreme red pill movement before the red pill movement was a thing. Like, if Patrice O'Neal was still alive, he would have definitely been one of those big red pill guys, right? Ideologically, like, a lot of the things he made jokes about, not only did I not ideologically agree with, I actually think a lot of it he agreed with, right? I think a lot of it wasn't just for jokes, and yet I still found it funny, right? Like, but, so, like, I think sometimes, like, the reality with his comedy was it always felt like it came from a place of, regardless of what you feel about what I'm saying. Now, granted, I think a lot of the comedy was, okay, there is some truth, like, in his perspective, there's some truth to what I'm saying, but I'm going to make it more extreme or whatever so that I lose you guys, and then it sounds absurd. Like, I think there's often a lot of that where it's like, okay, there is some element of, there is some element, but I'm going to exaggerate it and, you know, kind of straw man it and then fight back. But fundamentally, with his comedy, the goal was never to make you be like, yes, women are fish. And yes, I agree. Women only exist for us to show that we're the fishermen, and that we should, that they only like us because we're good at fishing. So we should be able to catch as many fish as we want. Like, I don't think his goal was to have people agree with him. I think the goal was to laugh. And so fundamentally, but I do think a lot of people now, their goal is to have people be like, yeah, you are right. So a lot of comedies kind of lost me. It is interesting, though. It seems like the internet is turning on a lot of, I guess the internet is also full of a bunch of people that are addicted to the feelings of rage and self-righteous indignation and saving the world through comments. But it is interesting seeing, like, a lot of the kind of people that were pillars of comedy a couple of years ago, and just the perception of them, like, you know, you had that, what was it called, Elephant Graveyard video or whatever, and now it feels like Kill Tony went from the perception of it being, like, really cool to now being, like, kind of cringe and people laugh at it. But now, to be totally honest, I actually largely like a lot of the Kill Tony podcast. Although I find some of it cringe. Like, you'll have people go on for the and are just super edgy to try to get the crowd, like, you know, you'll have the people go on, they're like, California, am I right? What are those guys doing there? And people will be like, Texas is good. Man, Austin is so much better than New York comedy, right? Yeah, he got it. Like, that stuff is cringe. But you know, like the Adam Ray, I got kind of addicted to Adam Ray as Dr. Phil, okay? But yeah, it's also interesting seeing, like, with the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I feel like this is like... Listen, I'm being the most tepidly political right now, okay? Listen, we live in a world where you can believe whatever you want to believe. And just don't shove it down. Like, don't, like, tear down people that you... just because you disagree with them, okay? It's okay, let people be themselves privately, and as long as they're not forcing you to, changing your laws to make you personally have to live against your beliefs or whatever, then who cares? It's great that we live in a world where someone else can live the life that you wouldn't want to live, but that you can also live the life that you want to live. That is a good world to live in. But the coin, what the coin did? The coin gave us literally zero to talk about. The coin is giving us nothing. I may as well be in solitary confinement with a microphone right now, okay? To make it slightly political. You know what? Listen, obviously I think solitary confinement's horrible. But deep down, I feel like I could last longer than most people by far. And I know this because my stepmom and I work in a career path that is prone to being very boring and uneventful. And for me, like, when I'm saying boring, what I mean is like 7.5 hours sometimes of walking or sitting and nothing happening, and you just sitting in a room for 7 hours straight. Like, it's such a nothing job sometimes. And I shadowed her one day, and like 1 hour in, she was like getting antsy. She was like, I can't take this. Like, something needs to happen. And I was like, oh man, I'm chill. Like, because I was used to the music world of, you know, like, I would have these concerts where it's like, okay, you sound check at noon, you finish sound check at 1:30, and now you sit here until the concert at 10 p.m. and then you don't even get paid much. It's like, okay. Like, now I'm just like, oh my god, life is so much better with an actual, like, every hour I sit in this room, I know I'm making money. Like, okay, yeah, I'll accept money to sit in this room and make sure, you know. It's hard for me to... It also depends on the nature. Like, it really depends. There's a few things that could break me. So, I have tinnitus. Lots of musicians get tinnitus. If you have solitary and there's no white noise at all, you're completely silent, the tinnitus would probably really not be good for my mental health. Like, it's really hard for me to sleep in complete silence. I need a fan just to, like, cover the noise. If you were, like, one of those, like... I could probably sleep with a light on. But, like, you know, let's say you're in freaking, speak of political, let's say you're in, A dark prison. Like one of those like areas in like Iraq that people get tortured. And where they intentionally like don't let you sleep. They like try to get you super sleep deprived. If you're getting super sleep deprived, you're not lasting, right? But if it's just like, hey, listen, I'm just chilling in a room and I'm not really interacting with people, I could last a while. You can always start drawing with your poo. If you're getting too... Listen, I feel like that's what people generally do. And that's when they've lost it. I feel like that shouldn't be the, like... That shouldn't be the sign of you're thriving in solitary, is when you're drawing with poo. That should be the sign of, like, okay, they didn't last that long. True. I'm so political, judging poo drawers. When did this society become so tribal that we're now, all of a sudden, we're breaking into poo drawers versus non-poo drawers? Listen, the good thing about society is that people can draw with their poo, but they don't make you draw with your poo, right? That we're allowed to live in a world where we can coexist and our values aren't forced on each other, right? I can live my life with drawing with very limited poo. And you can draw with all the poo that you can produce. And we can still interact on the internet and share our joy of video games and irreverent conversation. You know what? You convinced me. You're right. I'm not pro poo drawing, but I will always defend your right to poo draw. You know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen, you know, Perry Bible Fellowship? Perry Bible Fellowship? Let me just make sure there's nothing horrible on the screen. Where is it? Okay. Just so you guys... Okay, Perry Bible Fellowship was a webcomic. Just so you know... Oh, we didn't get it. But we got this. Perry Bible Fellowship, you know what? It's funny. The most important cultural impact it has is that the word weeaboo comes from Perry Bible Fellowship. Now, weeaboo, it was not describing what weebs are now. It was just a kind of a nonsense comic. But weeaboo came from Perry Bible Fellowship. But here is what the tribalism in society reminds me of today. Okay, are you ready for a comic? Pro-scub, anti-scub. And just scub is whatever that shit is. I feel like that's the equivalent of the when you talk about the you know, poo drawing, that you're the poo drawer and I'm the non-poo drawer, and this is the big political issue. I feel like that's the equivalent of pro-scub, anti-scub. You just think people should poo draw? I don't poo draw. I don't think people should poo draw, but I think people should legally be allowed to poo draw in their own homes. But I think if you came over to my house and poo drew in my house without consent, I should have legal recourse against you. You should pay for the cleaning bills, at least. This has turned into a long episode. A very long episode, because we've had bad luck now. We had the best run, now we're having a bad run. No! Listen, everyone has their own line, right? Like, we talked about the things that we like. And, you know, I like ICA jokes. I like... Never mind, I can't say this. Oh, God. Dong. 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 Dang it. What is our total at right now? Why? Why do you give me that that hope? Only to dash it. Okay. So I'm unsure. Here's the thing. I'm unsure. This video right now in the series is either the worst or best one in this series of games. And I don't know which. Because now I think the current best one, not including this one, is episode 2. Because that's the one that we went really off rails. And that's actually the one that the people have watched the least. Interestingly enough, I think episode 2 is the best. But here's the thing. I feel like some of this stuff has been funny, but I feel like I've talked around things a lot in a way that when things aren't said outright, sometimes I think it gives a worse impression of what you're saying than you actually are. So I'm a little bit worried that things are going to come across as worse because I didn't say things like explicitly. Come on. We just need 10. And then we need to land on the correct ending. But I'm pretty sure that this video is called Edgy Boy Flips a Coin. Or maybe On the Edge. What is the best name for this video? Because then everyone will think, when I say On the Edge, they'll think like, oh, this is the video where the coin lands on the side and rolls off the table. Which it actually did. There's a bit of a double meaning. So it could be On the Edge. Normally I name these videos after, as I'm posting them. But the problem is, there's nothing to talk about in this game. Okay, please. Please, give us that ending. Come on. Listen, I'm going to convert. I'm going to convert right now, just for this moment. Okay. I've unconverted. Maybe you could sense what, maybe if I got that ending, I wouldn't have unconverted. I might have. But no, oh god. You know the worst thing? You know the worst thing about speaking extremely vaguely about about politics is that all it leads to is the fact that both very far right people and very far left people might think I'm alluding to them or something. And so then everyone gets angry at me because they just assume the worst. Wait, guys. You know what? I'm gonna come out and say it, all right? I'm gonna say it right now. This is the edgiest thing I've ever said on stream, okay? Are you ready? Turn away right now if you're not prepared. This is bad. I have political values. But I also have a belief. Are you ready? I have a belief that a lot of our division is kind of self-imposed division. And that if we were exposed to each other, that we would probably have a lot less fears and hate of each other. So the reality is, I do have strong internal political convictions. But the reason why I generally don't talk politics on stream is not because of it's not because I'm like, you know, a fence sitter, blah, blah, blah. It's because fundamentally I believe that if we're on Twitch and we're watching me play video games, then we probably like video games, and we probably have some shared enjoyment and things like that. And the reality is, if you're I think that if you're like, you know, a super evangelical Christian, or if you're like super progressive, or if you're like, you know, in the trans community or whatever, I think that that the reality is, if we engage less on politics first and more on saying like, dude, we're people and these are things we like video games. Isn't this a cool game and whatever? And we realize that we can interact normally with people that we usually put barriers up with because we broadcast and virtue our beliefs so much. My theory is like, maybe some of that division would go away if we realize it's like, dude, we're just chilling and we like games, and, you know, we want to be loved, and we want to have fun, and we want to have good relationships with our family. Like, there's going to be so many shared values that if we put tribalism, if we wear our like sports team uniforms, but politically, and we broadcast it in such a way just for interactions that don't require it, that we will create some division that wouldn't be there otherwise. Like, I feel like a lot of people should be able to be friends that just aren't friends. But I feel like because I've been so vague so much in this stream, I feel like I had to just fundamentally say a value explicitly that I have, because I realized that just leaving things vague might make people run away with what I mean in their mind. But ultimately, I have some friends that are super progressive. I have friends that are when I say super progressive, I do have that. But I have friends that are anti-capitalist, pro-communist, think that our system should be torn down and we should have a communist revolution. I have friends that believe that. I have friends that are very conservative Christian, and you know, and you know, there's going to be aspects where it's like, sometimes if people have certain things where if people are being fundamentally hateful or whatever to groups of people, these things can be a bridge too far if they're openly kind of hating on groups of people or whatever. But broadly speaking, if it's like, for the vast majority of interactions or views, I think we should be able to coexist better than we are. So that is my political soapbox. And then I also think if it stops being so tribal, then it's like, okay, now we can actually talk about the political differences and issues we need, rather than it just being team sports. Because I think there is so much of like, we can't debate certain issues within our own parties that we vote for, because there's so much signaling to in-group, out-group, where it's like, if you... Basically what I was saying was that, you know, what I was signaling to earlier was that, okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to be totally transparent, okay? I'm a little bit of a lefty. Okay? That's where I am, like, where I sit politically. But in the past, I've had things where I had certain values that slightly differed, right? Where there's certain values like free speech, broadly speaking. Like, I think the ability or anti-authoritarianism that I think are important values. And in expressing those, I've had people that I aligned with on every other thing I've talked about be like, whoa, you're... Like I'm the enemy suddenly. And I'm like, dude, why are we playing team sports to the point where it's like we're sitting here as allies? Like we're voting for the same we would be voting for the same candidate. You know, we'd broadly speaking be pushing for almost all the same policy. Like we should be able to debate the politics within the party, and then when it gets to the bigger stage, whatever, right? And fundamentally, like, one of the things with me is like I do have friends that I disagree with a lot of the values personally, but the fact that they're not trying to convert me, the fact that they let me live my life or whatever, then that means that I afford them the same reciprocal respect, right? Like, you can believe these things about the world, and as long as you're not enforcing it on me or taking away my rights to pursue my life as I want to live it, then I afford you the same courtesies, and we can coexist. And we might not need to engage on every topic. We might not need to, like, butt heads or whatever. I'll just accept that this is probably something where we fundamentally have a difference in how we see the world, and we're not going to see eye to eye on it, and I can look past it. And you seem to be able to look past it with me. And as long as we have that mutual respect, then why are we going to force division arbitrarily? Unless it's like, you know, unless it's like I see you being really directly harmful to people in a way that really offends my morals, where it's like, you know. So, yeah, that's basically... Okay, so hopefully that has deconstructed some of the fears of me being vague. I was a little bit worried how this would come across if I left it so vague that people are like, what does he mean? Is he a secret... whatever... Is he a secret Nazi? Is he a secret Maoist or whatever? just like running with whatever they think. I'm like, dude, I'm just chilling, okay? I just think we should be able to enjoy games. Okay, come on. Come on. Oh, this is a 10. Okay. We got the rarest ending, but we didn't get the one that we wanted. Give me a goo job. Okay, we still haven't gotten that 1 in 5. We'll have to do it another time. All right? But it's still eluding us. It's still eluding us. We got to get egg bugged. Oh well. If you enjoyed, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you didn't enjoy, please don't cancel me. It'll be okay. We're all going to get through this together, okay? I believe. Take my hand. Okay, hold on to it. It'll be okay. All right? We'll get... This video might have driven you away, so you're not even seeing this message. But if you happen to jump to the end, just know I believe in you, okay? I believe in all of us. All right? There's a future for us all to live in happiness and pursue the... Should I begin my cult leader arc? No. Goodbye.